this is where I would touch on gay science as well. The preface to that book describes Nietzsche writing it after a stage of convalescence, which is a key issue in Zarathustra. And there he is overcoming a sickness. But as we hear of this sickness, he overcame it by being exposed to the winds of his recuperation, letting the wind in, cleaning the air, new air instead of the bad air. The illness he suffered from was precisely the closure of the metaphysical subject, of the Cartesian subject. Metaphysics is the illness for Nietzsche. Sickness is metaphysics, believing that you're a self-contained subject, an ego, and coincident with that, seeing yourself as just the thinking side of the ego as mind, distinct from body. So with this advocacy of the ego in metaphysics, and with the thought of that ego as utterly distinct from the body, as pure intellect, we have become utterly sick. That illness, to overcome that illness, is to burst open the bounds of that subject and to re-embrace the body, to re-embrace life, nature, and in so doing to overcome the separation, artificial separation we've put in place between mind and body, which makes each of them as pure as possible, and in so doing sets them antagonistically opposed to one another. The body becomes a brute animality. And so to restore the two together is to reinvigorate both of them, put blood into the mind and to give meaning to the body. In so doing, this transformed understanding of the self as no longer directed by mind-body dualism, that is the life that Nietzsche advocates in Zarathustra, and I think that is the way we give meaning to the earth. To become the meaning of the earth is to no longer see the earth, the material, the body, as completely devoid of meaning in a separation from mind.
Yeah, I'm all with that. However, I continue to bump up against this scandalon, and I think Nietzsche also did, which is that the body is not merely this thing that metaphysics has excluded from citizenship in the ego, but the body is also the place of deformity, decay, death, and suffering. And many of these people that Zarathustra encounters, these sick people that you're referring to, many of them are cripples.
Yeah.
They have handicaps, and they are poor, destitute, and it's in their bodies that they are suffering the most. And their revulsion against life is not so much, that's the way I see it, that they're enclosed within kind of Cartesian egos. Mm-hmm. Their revulsion against life is that it's the body is the locus of their most intense suffering, and they're not able to say yes to life despite its suffering. Mm-hmm. In the way that the overman presumably can say yes to life under those conditions.
Well, their abstraction of themselves from the body. I mean, he meets a whole cast of characters, but the abstraction of themselves from their body still leaves them with a body, and that body decays. That body goes unexercised, and so what you have in Nietzsche is this advocacy of, well, this understanding of the body as well. Our bodies determine our thoughts in some way. I mean, this is, if we take Nietzsche seriously, then we have to approach this kind of almost physiognomy in his thinking, this extreme biologism of a sort, this physiologism anyway, where diet shapes how you think, right? There's these scandalous passages that are considered racist, where, the Indians have a certain kind of way of thinking because they eat so much rice, he says. And we think that's outlandish, ridiculous, racist, blah, blah, blah. But if you understand the body the way Nietzsche does, you have to take these claims seriously, or at least see what is serious in them, that the body and the mind are no longer detached from one another, and there is going to be this kind of influence.
So he is thinking of a new body.
Yeah.
That's what the Overman. Might
Yeah.
be probably one of the best ways to conceive of it. Is if not a new body,
New senses.
a new way of being in the body.
Yeah. Absolutely. And this comes up in the preface to Gay Science as well, where part of the convalescence, the recuperation from this illness of metaphysics, is a restoration of sense. He talks about becoming ticklish, because now the senses are stimulated. They can feel again. They don't feel brute animal senses. They feel meaningful sense of the earth. They're reanimated. And he calls not only for these new senses and the ticklishness of our sense organs suddenly, but also for new organs. There's passages in The Will to Power where you find him calling for us developing new organs, and also for a refinement of the sense organs that we have. That's part of the new body, a new way of inhabiting the body, and a new way of relating to a new world as well.
Right.